Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my co-host, Michael Hall. Reed will be here very shortly, but we are joined by returning guest of the Washington Post, Mr. Sam Fortier. How are you doing tonight, Sam?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm glad that I was able to get Reed back for that joke that he had last episode.
Yeah, that was well received.
Yeah, so I'm thank you guys for having me again. Obviously, I love being on.
Of course. And of course, the Burgundy Zone is part of the Listen Frederick, a curated network of local podcasts produced in and focused on the Frederick area. Along with highlighting local talent, Listen Frederick hopes to bring local stories, voices, and personalities together to create a podcast community. Listen Frederick is part of the Manning Media family, home of Key 103 and 106.9 The Eagle. You can check out more about us and other shows on the network at www.listenfrederick.com. Now, Sam, the first thing I'm going to ask you about today is the cuts and who they were able to retain. Right now, there's about 16 people you can have on your practice squad. Washington only has 15. But the first one I'm going to ask you, what was the most important player, in your opinion, that Washington had to get back on that practice squad?
Yeah, I think that there are a couple different options here. First, you could say getting those 4 to 5 offensive linemen and defensive linemen back. That would be the most important group, considering the 17-game season. Ron Rivera talked, a lot before cuts about wanting to get, guys in the trenches back, considering, the bodies it'll probably take to get through this year. The other two, I think you could point out, maybe three. I would say two more important. There's 3 names here. I think Jeremy Reeves, the safety, Antonio Gandy-Golden, the receiver, and Peyton Barber, the running back. I know the fans love Jeremy Reeves, but I would say that probably Barber and Gandy-Golden were a little bit more important. And I say that, one, because Barber is the type of running back, even though he wasn't as effective in terms of the preseason, he is still a veteran running back who knows how to get around the league. And when you look at this running back room, you see 2 converted receivers and a 5'8" guy who and that's being generous. And while I'm not casting aspersions on them, I do have questions about their durability over such a long season, particularly with the usage that I think they're going to have with Antonio Gibson this year. So having that 4th running back, a guy that knows your system, a guy that can be a short yardage back when you need him. Let's say Antonio Gibson's development doesn't allow him to be that short yardage back. Jarrett Patterson probably isn't big enough to be that short yardage back. If those are concerns, which I think are totally possible, you have him right there. So that's important. Gandy-Golden, I think is an important guy because obviously 4th-round pick last year. You don't want to give up on that guy right away. He is a big body receiver. He is a guy who can use his hands really well with contested catches. But at the same time, he had a little bit of trouble getting off press coverage. There was one, play in the preseason where he really got shoved almost out of bounds by a corner. And you don't want to see that to your big body guys. So if he can maybe learn from Cam Sims, if he can continue refining his skill set, I think he might have a decent ceiling, but you certainly want to see more from him. And when you invest that type of draft capital, you don't want to cut bait in year 2. So I think those are the 2 guys that are most important to retain.
Right. As I mentioned, let's talk about a guy that made the 53 active roster. The fan base was just pitchforks, torches, up in arms about Troy Apke making the roster. For those fans out there that think like it was a travesty that he made the roster, kind of explain what he brings to this team and how effective he can be on special teams.
Yeah, so Troy Apke, I really think we should start considering him as a specialist in the same vein as Tress Way and Dustin Hopkins and Cameron Cheeseman, the long snapper. Like, this guy plays, all 4 phases of special teams. Ron Rivera has really, asserted again and again, teams have to game plan for this guy. This guy is so fast. He can be a vice on punt return. He really is one of the better special teams players in the league, according to Rivera. And so that combined with how much they loved him in Carolina, Marty Herney went to Troy Apke's pro day at Penn State in 2018, before Washington picked him in the 4th round. And Ron really liked him as well as a player they were targeting in the draft. So they've liked Troy for a long time. I think he's developed into one of the best special teams players in the league. And I think even though he overran that punt the other night against Baltimore, he still came back and made that tackle. And so when you have a coverage guy like that, that's really important. Ron said the other day, if you want to be better as a team, you have to get better on special teams. And Troy goes a long way towards playing that. And I think anytime a team is down to its sixth corner, like that's a bad look for that team anyway. I mean, so they're basically saying we would rather be good on special teams than maybe be a little bit better in our last corner spot. And one other thing that you guys might appreciate is I actually talked to Troy Apke yesterday, and I asked him about a lot of things. But the fans who are upset were one of them. And I said, do you realize that you are one of the most polarizing / disliked players in the entire fan base? And he was like, what do you mean?
Oh my God, you had no idea.
I was like, oh, I mean, like, there are some people who were particularly frustrated by you last year. And this is a part of a broader conversation. I didn't walk up to the dude and be like, but I said, like, do you realize this? And he was like, I don't know. I mean, if there are Troy Apke fans out there, thank you. If there are people that aren't a fan of me, that's fine. He was like, I'm not a social media guy. I just, come to work and play my role. And for me, I respect it. I respect that approach. And so for a guy who, I mean, obviously, yes, did free safety not go how the team wanted it to last year? Yeah. Was he benched twice and was that not great? Yeah. But for him to bounce back and still provide value to this team, for him to stay around, obviously a lot remains to be seen in terms of the season. But certainly, I had some respect talking to him about, that journey, that process that he's at now, and especially shifting to corner, and I think year 5 of his career.
Yeah, and then today in his presser, Ron Rivera was asked about Curtis Samuel, and he said that he looks good and ready to go to start practicing on Monday. In your opinion, Sam, what do you think Samuel needs to do in order to play against the Chargers Week 1 next Sunday?
Yeah, I forgive me if I'm a little skeptical of optimistic Curtis Samuel updates, just because, I mean, like, this groin thing.
Be honest.
Yeah. I mean, this groin thing was supposed to be not serious in May, right? I mean, and we're still talking about it. He still hasn't been. He hasn't participated in team drills once, since OTAs, and he has participated in individual only, I think, 1 or 2 times in all of training camp. And so, I know Ron said as a speed guy, that groin injury takes a little bit longer. They're not concerned about him learning the offense. They're not concerned about him developing that rapport with Ryan Fitzpatrick. But to me, until I see him participate in individual and team drills, I'm going to be a little wary. And Ron said, I think one of the interesting things is Ron said they're not going to play him in week 1 unless he is 100%. There's no limited snap count. There's no, select packages that he's in. It's either all or nothing. And to me, I mean, this guy was also on the COVID list for 10 days. And so to get that conditioning back, I think is a consideration as well. So the number of things this guy's dealt with, and the number of times we've been given optimistic updates only to have, the rain derail him or this derail him. I will, for lack of a better phrase, believe it when I see it.
Right. And to kind of piggyback off that last question, if he can't go for week 1 or maybe extended amount of weeks, how do you see this offense playing out, seeing how he was kind of that big offensive acquisition, that kind of the chess piece you can move all around the board? If he can't go, who do you think will be able to step up in his place, if anybody?
Yeah, so obviously there's not a guy that does all of what he does, because that's why they paid him $34.5 million. Yeah. But there are guys who complement, I think, things that he can do. And I think you can kind of piecemeal it together. Last year, Washington was in 11 personnel, 3 receivers, 1 back, 1 tight end, about 65% of the time. So my guess is, okay, let's say they're in 11. I think you'll definitely see Perry and you'll see Adam Humphries in the slot. Those are the 2 kind of locked in. I think depending on the matchup, depending on what they're getting, you might see a little bit more of De'Ami Brown if you want to stretch the field, if you want to go deep. You might see a little bit more of Cam Sims if they want, a possession receiver. It's 3rd down, and they need that big body, big target to kind of in those gotta have it situations. So that's how I kind of imagine this shaking out. And it is notable, I think, Ron said today that with Curtis being out, those 2 guys plus Dax Milne really got, I think, a lot more reps in training camp than they expected. I think they're maybe a little bit more comfortable with those guys in certain situations because Curtis was out. So if he can't go, I think you've kind of primed yourself, put yourself in a position where the drop off might not be as big as it would be if this were a new injury.
Yes, and two of the biggest surprises from yesterday, Sam. The first one being Jimmy Moreland was not retained on the practice squad. He reached a injury settlement with the team, and I think it was like kind of like an IR thing. And then Derek Forrest, he was put onto IR, and then they signed David Mayo, the linebacker, and then to the active roster. If you can, update us on what those injuries are.
Yeah, so Derek Forrest has a hamstring injury that he suffered in I believe in that second game or that week of practice afterward.
Oh, okay.
That's supposed to be, you know, sort of a minor thing. He's eligible to return after the Buffalo game in week 3, and so he could be good to go as soon as the Atlanta game. And with the injury settlement, Ron just said it was, you know, kind of a knee bruise off that game. To me, this is kind of a we're giving you an injury settlement so you know you can be covered in terms of like prorated salary for a few weeks, however long that agreement is. And then if another team signs him in that time, they have to pay that, you know, they have to assume the obligation. But if they don't, then he's given kind of like some leeway to figure out where his next spot will be. So to me, the Jimmy Moreland should have a market. You know, he was a pretty solid slot corner. We can talk about why maybe they moved on from him, but I think that he'll certainly have a market and end up somewhere.
Yeah, and I have to ask you, Sam, do you think that there's possibly something more there, maybe like locker room material or something? Because it's just very weird. I know Jimmy he did not produce what he came to be, but the injury settlement with the bone bruise, I mean, seems like a mutual divorce, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's something nefarious going on here, or you know, some ulterior motives. To me, this is more about when Benjamin St. Juste, the 3rd round pick, emerges as a guy that can play a lot this season. You start being able to say, okay, let's slide Kendall Fuller inside. Then, you know, you consider, okay, we're going to have a certain amount of packages where Cam Curl or Landon Collins are in the big nickel. How much of a role is a true slot corner really going to have if you're the second guy? And I think that they tried, especially in that 3rd preseason game, they tried to move Jimmy outside, say, okay, you have that position flex, can you kind of hang out here? And I think they didn't love what they saw on the tape. So if you think Torrey McTyer and Daryl Roberts are 2 backup corners outside, if they offer more position flex than maybe Jimmy does, maybe it's just best for us to move on from Jimmy and invest in guys that we think could be a bigger part of our future.
Yeah, and Sam, to wrap this up, we are in a time crunch because there's some big news coming out apparently. Ron Rivera ended his press conference today saying, I'm going to have something for you guys to write up later on tonight. Do you have any predictions? Like, because everyone is kind of thinking maybe this has something to do with the 16th spot on the practice squad. What do you think it could be?
That was certainly my read of the situation when he walked out today. I think, you know, maybe they're signing a free agent, you know, maybe a linebacker, and they're going to have to make a move on the 53. Maybe that's what he was talking about. Maybe that they were in competition. I thought they might have been a logical landing spot for quarterback Kyle Lauletta before he just signed a couple hours ago. So I thought, but then again, I don't know that they're in the market for a quarterback for that 16th spot. So I would assume it's the 16th practice squad spot or a down roster acquisition in terms of, you know, a guy that's come available. But certainly it was an intriguing note to leave on, and even more intriguing that we don't have the answer.
Right. And last thing before you go, I know it's the last question. I keep prepping you. We got 1 second. Do you see them adding a linebacker or any free agent? Anybody in mind, do you think?
I know the name out there right now is Bernardrick McKinney,
Yeah.
Formerly of the Texans. I don't know how serious things are there, or you know, I don't think things are maybe as close as we thought maybe initially. But in terms of, you know, who those candidates could be, I think there's a lot of guys available right now. And even though, you know, very few players got claimed on waivers, I think teams are trying to figure out, okay, we do have game tape now from preseason games, which we didn't have last year, and maybe they're going to be a little bit more aggressive. So, you know, I don't have a read, I think, on what exactly the move will be, but I would anticipate one during the next day or so.
I thank you very much, Sam. I appreciate you taking the time out and being able to update us on everything going on. Thank you so much to Nikki Jarabala as well for her update on everything that came out today, especially the Jimmy Moreland news. That was huge. Thank you so much, Sam, of the Washington Post. You want to plug your handle real quick before you go?
Of course, at Sam, the number 4 TR on Twitter, SAM, the number 4 TR. Reed hurt my feelings by not showing up at all, but
Dude,
that's all right.
I tried, Sam. I tried.
We'll get on him. Trust me.
He's
got
to make
him.
it up to you. All right, Sam.
Cool.
You have a good night, sir. I appreciate all the work, sir.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
All right, brother. All right, everybody. We just spoke with Sam Fortier of the Washington Post. That was really surprising to hear about Troy Apke.
Yeah.
Because, dude, like, I know that there's always that one player every year that everyone is like, it's almost like a punching bag every year, you know?
Yeah.
And it's always that one guy. And it's been Troy Apke the past couple of years. But for him to say he has no idea what he's talking about, either he's got a great poker face or the guy is a genius.
I mean, look, if you kind of look up Troy Apke, I don't think he even has really like a social media. So he probably is. I'm not going to say he's oblivious because I'm sure he probably listens to the radio. There's probably someone in his ear telling him like, hey, man, the fan base is kind of but like you said, for him to kind of just brush it off and like you say, maybe even have a poker face or maybe he's telling the truth. Like Sam said, I kind of respect that because you want to keep all the outside noise out anyway and just focus on you.
Yeah. And look, guys, right now is the fantasy football season. We all know it. Draft season's coming on. We got a big draft on Saturday. So I asked you guys, I said, hey, why don't you guys send me and screenshot your fantasy football teams, and I'll put out the best ones that we received. And the first one I'm going to have is our boy Mike Puckett. By the way, his team is absolutely stacked. It is ridiculous how good his team is. At quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, Deontay Johnson, Devontae Parker, Antonio Gibson, Josh Jacobs, George Kittle, and Chase Edmonds. And it's a 2-quarterback league with Teddy Bridgewater as his second quarterback. We were kind of talking. He's really big on Tua. I'm not sure what you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, as far as real life goes, he won games last year, so you can't really doubt him on that. It's a win-or-loss league, and he won some games. But as far as fantasy goes, I know they got some speed down there. They got some weapons that just added on to their offense, but he's kind of one of those you got to show and prove it type of things for me before I put him on my fantasy roster as a starting quarterback at least.
Yeah, and I was talking to him with him. Like, look, I'm not that high on Tua, obviously, but he took strides last season, and there was a good reason why they moved on from Ryan Fitzpatrick, giving the helm to Tua. It's a prove-it year for him. And I told him, based on his lineup here with Tyreek and Deontay Johnson, Antonio Gibson, Josh Jacobs, and George Kittle, you're essentially stacked there. And if Tua does excel, you're going to be hard to beat. And so your weakness there being a quarterback is actually a plus in a way.
And on that other side of things, even if Tua doesn't really produce, and maybe he just puts up average numbers, you got all those monsters behind him to kind of make up for the lack of points your quarterback might put out.
Yeah, and to pour salt in the wound, he also has Justin Tucker as his kicker. I mean, just absolutely studded out, man.
Points everywhere.
What's up, Reed? Sam Fortier is pissed at you, by the way.
Yeah, he's mad at you, man.
We'll tell him to not take it out on me with another article, okay? Because I'm, no, I'm pissed. Yeah, man. Work sucks. Let's just get famous. Come on, guys, get our subs up.
It's true. And I'm glad that you were able to join us here, Reed, because I'm talking about I asked people on Twitter to take a screenshot of their fantasy teams and send them in, and we were going to talk about the best ones.
Right.
And the other one, I just talked about our guy Mike Puckett. His team is absolutely ridiculous. The next one is from our guy on Twitter, WSK28 Rules, named Dave. He has DeAndre Hopkins, Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, DJ Chark, Antonio Brown, and then Darnell Mooney, with Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback, Antonio Gibson at running back, and Alvin Kamara. How did you get those guys?
How many teams are in that league?
He said it's 12-team dynasty is what he said.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I don't really know like all the dynasty rules, but I mean, that is like literally the best fantasy squad I've ever heard of in my life.
Dude, seriously, you got
That's
Pat Mahomes.
ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. It really is. And if it's dynasty, I'm guessing that you're whooping that ass right now, Dave. To be honest with you.
But yeah, because I'm in that 12-team IDP league, and I have Kamara, Gibson, DeAndre Hopkins, but I don't have Terry or DK Metcalf or Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Jesus.
It's like all number one players at their position are like around there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Jeez.
All right, everybody. So now let's move on to our brand new segment that I told you guys about on Twitter today, and it's going to be the Little Warrior segment because September is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, and so every episode for the month of September, we are going to have a segment where we detail three kids, three little warriors going through the struggle and whooping butt. And the first one I'm going to start out with is my guy, Zaire. My man, he does not allow ATRT, which is a diagnosis with atypical teratoid rhizoid tumor, which is ridiculous. That was very, very long. But on top of that, that doesn't stop him from playing and cuddling. The one thing he likes to watch is Boss Baby and Coco Melon.
Okay, the kid gets it.
Yeah, he gets it. He's a winner.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a fighter right here, because not only that, he was at 1 year old, he was diagnosed with that. And his last radiation treatment on April 27th, there was currently no evidence of disease at all. Good job, Zaire. You whooped some butt, and that's special to me, Zaire, because April 27th is my birthday. So, my man, I appreciate that. I hope you keep kicking butt, Zaire. Let us know how you're doing, brother.
Yeah, and first of all, can I just tell you, you have great taste in what you watch. Boss Baby, not only is it a great movie, but it's an amazing show as well. Coco Melon, it doesn't get any better than that music. So good for you, Zaire. Man, you are a king.
When Cash is old enough, those are the first two shows that I'm starting him out with, Zaire.
I didn't even know Boss Baby was even a show.
Yeah, don't start him off with Sesame Street. I made that mistake. So lately, I've been trying to get James to watch South Park.
You get
He's getting there. He's getting there.
So, Hall, what little warrior are you highlighting today? Who deserves the spotlight?
I got to talk about my man Landon, 17 years old. He was diagnosed with glioblastoma, which is a malignant tumor affecting the brain. And unfortunately, it's a condition that can't be cured. But you think my man Landon doesn't come out every single day smiling? You think my man Landon doesn't come out every day kicking this disease butt? So shout out to Landon, prayers up, and just keep fighting that good fight, buddy.
Dude, to hear that's a strong individual right there, man. That's a strong individual. And I just wanted, before you go, Reed, I just want to let everyone know we were supplied with these kids from the hog farmers. They were so nice enough to give those names out for us so we could highlight these kids for Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. It's really cool of them. I was able to link up with Chris Bryant and try to get something on here. You know, we talk about ball players. We go in, we scout them. We talk about their height, their weight. We do all of that. But these kids, these really strong individuals that go through things that I could never have even imagined going through at that age, and whooping butt, we have to give them credit in the spotlight to be able to do so.
At that age, I couldn't imagine going through it now. And so they're just hats off to you guys, and especially my man Bentley. Bentley is 4 years old. He is a 4-year-old warrior that was diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma on November 8th, 2019. He's done 5 rounds of chemotherapy, surgery to remove a tumor, and 2 stem cell transplants. Bentley is actively battling, and his family needs our support. You can visit Hog Farmer Chris or hogfarmercharity.org/index. Make sure you let us know, and we will send you the link for Bentley's for how you can support Bentley. But this kid is just a warrior. He's the cutest kid. It's just such a cute kid. Once you see the picture, you're gonna fall in love with him instantly. This kid is a warrior. He's done more already in his 4 years than I've done in my entire life. And this kid is putting up a fight, and he's not going to stop. And he's going to kick this thing's ass.
Yes, and thank you so much, Zaire. Thank you to Landon. Thank you, Bentley. You guys are kicking butt. I'm rooting for you guys, man. Keep doing your thing.
Hell yeah.
Now, let's move on to our fan questions, guys. And we have some fantastic ones. The first one I'm going to start out with is our guy, Orange Crush 92. And, dude, did he come banging today. His question is, should we be looking at the 28-year-old Bernardrick McKinney to bring in as a linebacker, Hall, who recently got released by the Miami Dolphins? Everyone knows last season, halfway through the year, he was traded from the Texans to the Dolphins.
Yeah, we do need a little bit more linebacker depth, in my opinion. So I know, like Sam said, there's another name that was thrown out there, but I mean, if they bring in anyone, if they're going to bring anyone to add them to the 53-man roster, I would assume it would probably be maybe a linebacker to add some depth, or maybe to the practice squad like Sam just alluded to. So, yeah, definitely take a look at him. I mean, you can take all the help we can get on this, add more pieces to this great defense.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Should we be looking at Bernardrick McKinney, Orange Crush? Yes, I did watch his film today against the game last season when they played the Steelers. And Bernardrick actually played very well. But you have to imagine Bernardrick is a very heavy-footed guy. He's not sideline to sideline with speed. It's going to take him time to get there. But he is an absolute gorilla, 18-wheeler, just inside the tackle box. he tackles everything. He is there. But once you have to get him outside the numbers, that's where he struggles. That's where he misses tackles because his body cannot keep up with his mind and his eyes, unfortunately. So should we be looking at him? Yes, in an effort and to bring him in for goal line situations for the heavy set. Last season with the Texans, because they have Zach Cunningham, a great pass coveraging linebacker, whenever it got into dime or nickel situations, McKinney wasn't in there. So you're looking at basically a bigger, stronger John Bostic. And look, McKinney is a fantastic run defender. From what I saw, it's very enticing. I'm just kind of worried because I feel like we need to offset what John Bostic does really well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I completely get where you're coming from. I do think we do have a lot of good pass covering linebackers on this team so far. I mean, you look at Jamin Davis, that's one of his specialties. Cole Holcomb showed last year that he can do it. Khaleke Hudson is a former safety. He kind of plays that hybrid role. He can do it as well. So, yeah, I mean, you look at somebody like Bernardrick McKinney. I mean, the dude has played in the NFL for 6 seasons. He's had over 100 tackles 3 times. He's had over 95 or more tackles 4 times total. So, I mean, the guy, he produces it and he does well. But you're right, Kyle. He is very slow-footed. It takes him a second to get to the ball. But he's somebody who I definitely could see us. I would love to go after. I don't know if it will happen because, I mean, we go after David Mayo. Right. But, hey, Rivera and them, they know what they want.
Yeah, and then the next question from Orange Crush is what type of contract would you throw at him, Reed?
See, I don't know. I'm not much of a contract guy. I would try to get him to play for me for free first, but if that didn't work, I'd probably throw a 1-year deal at him so we could see what he's worth, so he could prove himself.
Exactly. I would bring him up to the practice squad, see what's going on, obviously, because Brian Flores, being a defensive-minded coach, wouldn't probably just allow guys to go just for the hell of it, especially since they just got rid of Kyle Van Noy after signing him last season. So that linebacking core, you have to imagine if they can walk away from McKinney, how good are they? And if they're not the best, what does that tell you about McKinney?
Right.
So the 1-year contract is exactly right. From what Reed said, make sure you have that all set in there that you can walk away without a bunch of guaranteed deferred money, whatever have you. But if you want to elevate him to the practice squad and then bring him in once he gets acclimated, I think it would be a perfect fit. I really do. I do. And what about you, Hall?
Yeah, no, I'm with you guys. The 1-year contract would be perfect, I wouldn't even call it like a trial run, just more of a 1-year rental. Just hop on the team. I mean, kind of showcase your talent to the next team that you might be joining because obviously you play behind this defensive line.
And
as a
Orange
linebacker.
Crush's last question, I'm going to you, Hall. What does he bring to the defense? I felt like you were just about to do that.
Yeah, well, yeah. Like Reed was talking about, we have a lot of great kind of pass
coverage.
Pass coverage. I don't know, just blanked out right there.
Pass
coverage linebackers.
We have a bunch of good passing game linebackers. I think.
We have a bunch of great pass coverage linebackers as well as Cole Holcomb can play the run. Hopefully, Jamin Davis will develop the way to run. John Bostic is pretty good in the run, but also, like you said, kind of flat-footed and kind of not as fast to the ball. So he would definitely be great in the run game, which I think we ranked like 16th last year in the run game overall. So to add more defensive piece to the run game would be great. So I wouldn't be opposed to it. 1-year contract, kind of I guess like the minimum you can pay him, kind of a low risk, high reward type thing if he pans out.
Now, the reason why I didn't say this before, Orange Crush, because I was trying to save it for this part. So my second part's of Bernardrick McKinney. What does he bring? Obviously brings a run defending, but also whenever they did their heavy stack, so they would line up with like 5 defensive linemen, what they would do is they would line like 3 down linemen, and then they would bring McKinney over as an outside rusher. So that kind of position versatility does pay dividends. He is a veteran. He does have pretty good sack numbers for being a middle linebacker. And coming off that edge there, because we're kind of thinking about an edge rusher, but we also need linebacker help. Bernardrick McKinney would fit the bill for both of those because he's a veteran. You would be able to plug him in. He knows situational awareness, and it would make a lot of sense from that aspect, Orange Crush. I really do. What does he bring, Reed?
A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Thank you, you guys all hit it. Yeah. We already thought he's a run guy. He's a good. He can be a leader too, though. But like you said, Brian Flores, he knows linebackers as well. If he's not the best linebacker on Miami, and Miami's pretty weak at that position, what does that tell you? But I do like that he can rush the passer as well.
Now, our guy Apke G hit me up and DM'd me on Twitter and sent me a question. It was a couple days ago, unfortunately. But his question is: with Ron saying they're not done with the linebacking core, who would you want them to sign between Bernardrick McKinney, KJ Wright, and Reuben Foster?
So obviously, I mean, the easy answer is KJ Wright. I mean, I think we all know that. But the weird thing is the fact that he's still not on a team really weirds me out.
He just signed with
the
Oakland.
Raiders.
Okay, so he just signed with
Oakland.
Okay.
I know.
See, I've been at work all day.
They're so bad. I just still think of them as Oakland. Yeah.
They're always going to be Oakland.
Yeah, it just happened today. Ruben Foster, I know he just posted that workout video the other day. He's looking really good.
He's
looking
He just had a meeting
good.
with the Jets, so I mean, he's getting a workout with the Jets.
He did just meet with the Jets today. But
Dude's
out of all
body
of these, I would probably say Bernardrick McKinney, to be
Yeah.
perfectly honest with you, just because of the positional versatility. It would be checking off 2 boxes, and I do understand that thought process. The big question is for how much. Is there other people looking to get him? And that's the big question.
Yeah, like you said, position versatility is key. That's what Ron loves. It's what he loves on his defense and the offense as well. So, yeah. And I think I remember back, Ron was saying that they would like to add a veteran to that defensive end spot to kind of bolster behind Chase and Montez to go along with the young guys as well. So, like you said, it would fill both roles as a kind of a versatile edge rusher, maybe on like pass rushing downs, maybe on the run downs as well to kind of like expel Montez or Chase. Or he can maybe fill that outside linebacker role in the run game as well on the heavy sets, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's go to Colonel, the guy for our questions.
Goat.
And obviously we're sticking with the trend here. He said, linebackers, are you happy with what we got? Mayo, ? What they did is they put Derek Forrest on the IR and then brought back David Mayo and then put John Kunizik, whatever his name is, and Jared Norris on the practice squad. So are you happy with the linebacking core right now with Mayo as the 5th linebacker on the roster right now, Reed?
Am I happy? I mean, obviously, when you look at it, you would like to see a little bit more there. But I mean, like I've said since before the draft, since pre-draft, like who knows linebackers better than Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio? So those guys, I mean, they know what they're doing. I trust Ron. He hasn't given me a reason to not trust him yet. So I mean, I think that they know what they're doing. Am I comfortable? Not really, because I feel like you're an injury away from something happening. But like I said, they know what they're doing. So.
I am happy with the linebackers because I genuinely believe that teams are not going to be going heavy stacked against us. It's going to be more of dime nickels, the 4-1-6s, the 4-2-5s. That's most likely what's going to be going down. And so the lack of linebacker depth makes sense because Cam Curl and Landon Collins being able to come into the box in that Buffalo nickel set will be able to offset the linebacker numbers is my greater point. So, yeah, am I happy with it? Of course. Could I be happier? 100%.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of both you guys. Like you just said, am I happy with the linebacking core? Like, they're good. They're
guys who
all right.
made it are cool.
Yeah, like could they be better? Obviously. Could they add more depth to it? Obviously, yes. But like you just said, I think that a lot of these offenses are going to try to spread us out and try to take away from the pass rush, obviously, with a lot of quick passes, a lot of speed game, a lot of outside runs. So, and like you said, we can have Cam Curl, who played in the box well. Landon Collins come back off the injury, but from all training camp and preseason, it looks like he's almost back to his – it is the preseason in practice, I know. But if he keeps it up, he might be back to his New York Giants all-pro form. Not going to go say he's going to be all-pro this year, but if he can contribute and be just 80% of Landon Collins in New York, that's a win for us right there.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that, linebacking core, could it get better? Yes, but we can deal with it right now as long as Jamin Davis develops throughout the year. I think the linebacking core will be good.
That's it. That's the big question right there, Hall. You're absolutely right. Now, Colonel's next one is, what does it mean, Hall, that no team poached any of our players that were cut?
Well, you can look at it 2 ways. You can look at it as, does the fan base really overvalue the talent that we have because we've been so talent deficient over these past couple of years? And is that how the rest of the league looks at us? Or was it a case of there was better players at other positions ranked above those guys, so it was kind of just last pickings, if you want to call it that. So, I mean, it's a positive for us. We get to retain most of all of our guys except for Jimmy, obviously. And we get to keep developing them, keep developing the young talent that we have. So, like I said, you can look at it from both ways.
Yeah, what does it mean, Colonel? What I think it means, what happens here is like the people that go on and that get cut are the guys are going to need a lot of time and progression to get to where they need to go. So who has that time? Who has that roster spot to give up to allow this guy to progress? And that's what you're kind of seeing is that everyone in the league has their guys that they want to progress. They have their guys that they love that they don't want to cut, they have to bring back. every team has that. So that is very small, minute. I'm pretty sure I heard I think it was Ben Standig today on 106.7 said I think like only 17 players were actually poached on the waiver this year, which is crazy in my opinion. But I think it's just based on everyone having their own guys that they're progressing. I don't think it means anything about the fan base over analyzing anybody, really. I just feel like it's the way the NFL is right now. Everyone likes the guys that they're progressing, and that's a good thing. It shows you the NFL is actually doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and also I think it's a testament to Ron and co. and the Martys. I mean, maybe they knew what they were doing. Maybe they knew that these were the guys that they could cut because they weren't going to garner much interest, but they knew what they had and they could bring them back on the practice squad. And plus, you like to bring people back that's familiar with your system, that knows what you want to do. And those are the guys that they brought back. So I love it. I mean, it can't hurt. I don't think I've ever seen a year where every single player that we brought onto our practice squad just got cut by it. Like, I don't know. That's interesting though. Usually there's a handful, but hey, good.
I was on the warpath last night with Corey, and I talked about AGG.
What were you guys doing? Like raising hell?
Yeah.
Or like, oh, you're on the podcast. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought you were like,
no.
something pissed you off.
Yeah, but we had just talked about AGG, and I was like, look, this is the best case scenario for him, because if he would have gone to another team, there's a good chance that his progression would have been hampered by going to a new staff, going to a new city, and everything like that. So best case scenario for AGG and the Washington football team to be able to retain him. Cutting a 4th round pick and not seeing anything from it would suck immensely. You know what I mean? Now, the Colonel's next question, I'm going to leave this one for you, Reed, for your boy. How surprised are you about Troy Apke?
Well, I read somewhere that he's the first white cornerback in the NFL since 2002. We know that was young Seahorn. So, hey, good for him, man. Apparently, like Ron said, apparently he's an amazing special teamer. I knew he was all right at special teams. I didn't know he was that good. Ron said that people got a game plan for him.
So when we interviewed Sam, we talked about Troy Apke, and he said that he did an interview with Troy, and he asked him, like, do you know that, like, you're like the #1 hated guy by the fan base? And he was like, what are you talking about? He has no idea. Doesn't look at social media at all.
First of all, 1, good for Apke.
Yeah.
2, Sam, that's so mean. Why would you do that?
But he said it wasn't like he walked up to him and just asked him the question. It was like in conversation, they were talking, and he was like, do you
Apke,
know this?
You know everybody hates you. Like, people, like, just imagine that.
Who are you, Bruce Allen?
Yeah, you know you're the most.
You here, Scott.
You know nobody likes you here, and you should probably just leave. Everybody wants you gone anyway.
Right, like Mean Girls. Like, come on, dude. Is this really what we're doing right now? The last question from the Colonel is the likelihood of us seeing Steven Sims again now that Buffalo released him.
Oh man, yeah, he really dropped
he actually
the ball
signed
with that
to
one.
Pittsburgh's practice squad. So yeah, he's up in Pittsburgh with a good old Dwayne boy.
Which is surprising because, like, Steve Sims didn't do all that great with Dwayne. Yeah.
It's also I was looking at Twitter randomly. Shout out to Serge the Shooter. He was saying that him and Lake Lewis talked to Ike Hilliard, who's the wide receivers coach up in Pittsburgh right now, and they said that Ike Hilliard saw that Steve Sims could be a decent outside guy, but a great slot guy. It would just take like some development. So maybe Ike's like, let me take you under my wing, get you back on an active roster maybe next year or something like that. So
Pittsburgh is like a wide receiver factory.
Exactly.
That makes a whole lot of sense, to be honest with you. I've always said the testament to a good quarterback is being able to continue to make superstars out of Jags, and Pittsburgh continues to do that. Is it their scouting or is it their quarterback being able to get them the football? And that's the biggest chicken or the egg argument, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, look, Steven Sims, like, I hate him. I do. But, good for him. He's going to be there. Obviously, he did flash 2 years ago, his first season with us. He had some big plays. People were really high on him. That's why I hated him so much, because I had such high hopes for him, and he just dropped the ball.
Right. Now, our next question.
Did you get it?
That was great. Our next question is from major fan, MVP fan. In the Discord chat server, Tony Shivers asked us, aside from the Washington football team, what defenses would be on your radar for fantasy?
Me personally, I picked up San Francisco's defense. I think with Nick Bosa coming back off the injury, that whole defense, the whole team really was just ravaged by injury. But I just think that Nick Bosa coming back, all the rest of those guys in the defense coming back, Fred Warner is a beast, one of the top guys in the league. I just think that they're poised for a top 10, top 12 type of year. So that's who I went with. I picked the 49ers in my squad, one of my squads.
Yeah. Usually I don't pick defense until like the 16th, 17th.
I usually
round.
stream defense also, just
Yeah.
like little asterisk on that. But yeah.
I do that all the time. I play the matchup. That's why I
Yeah.
don't put that much stock into the defenses. Kicker, I'll
Right.
probably take in like the 15th just to make sure I get my guy and those points that I want. But that's all I'm doing. But for defenses, I'm really liking what Cleveland is doing. I feel like they are the dark horse and sleeper that because people are going to go up. They're going to get the Rams. They're going to go up and get the Steelers. They're going to get the Washington football team. And there's going to be some outliers there that actually do well and progress and do well. I think that could be Cleveland and the Chargers, to be perfectly honest with you. With with Joey Bosa and Derwin James there, I think that maybe they could be a great fantasy streaming defense.
Yeah, top ones obviously other than Washington. I mean, and ones that you guys named, the Rams and the Bucks, I think are got to be top of the line. But two sleeper defenses that nobody really talks about, but they're both very good. The Colts and the Dolphins. Both of those defenses have potential to be very good. They've all got studs. They've got some pretty good coaching over there about both places. They both have hard-nosed throwback defenses, and I really think that both of those defenses you could get, and you could be happy with them.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Now, Tony's last question, and I have to explain this because our thumbnail I put up on Twitter, and it's a picture of Terry McLaurin turned into like a Super Saiyan, got an energy ball. I thought it would look really cool. But his question to us is, since it's the graphic video, who are your favorite Dragon Ball Z characters?
Oh, I'll start. I had Friends growing up, so I didn't watch it.
Dude,
I'm
he
just
says,
kidding.
he
No,
says this
I didn't
every
watch
time.
it. I didn't watch it. No, I know. I'm like the biggest outcast in the world because everybody knows everything about it. I was just like, I guess, a tool growing up and didn't watch it.
I know you're too busy watching WWE and WWF.
Yeah, that's right, brother. Yeah.
But you had Friends. I do think probably Trunks is my favorite. I'll put that up there. Him and Vegeta. Trunks is my man, dude.
Vegeta.
Yeah, I'm a big Vegeta guy. Vegeta's the man, but also can't go wrong with my man Piccolo as well. Just taking care of people's
no doubt, no
kids.
doubt.
You would like
Take care-
Piccolo.
Take care of your kids.
Piccolo sounds like a piccolo.
I mean, look,
and
he's like
Vegeta
basically the
sounds-
only black person on the damn show. Come on, let's all be serious here.
Vegeta sounds like a
Look at his
fajita
shoes. They're
that's made
basically
with
like space
vegetables
J's.
only. Yeah.
His shoes are Space Jays. That's the first time I've heard that. That's hilarious.
Space Jays shark.
Our next question is from our guy Brandon Reinbold,
The
Meese21.
goat.
Who do you see?
Yeah.
Who do you see being called up from the practice squad first? Reed.
Ooh, that's a pretty tough one. Who do I see being called up
Doozy.
first?
Yes.
Right. Oh, so I guess. Oh man, I don't know. I guess you kind of got to look at the depth. I guess the offensive linemen tend to get hurt the most. Maybe it would be somebody like Keith Ishmael if something were to happen, or somebody. I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't know.
You can't
I
think
can't
of
even
one?
answer it. I literally can't think of one. No, I mean maybe Keith Ishmael, but who's gonna get called up first? I guess it just
I got
depends on
one.
injuries.
All right, Hall, go.
I will say it's going to be Peyton Barber, just for the simple fact of you saw in the Cincinnati game they went for it multiple times on short yardage, couldn't really convert. So possibly there might be the same situation during the regular season. Maybe they're not converting on enough short yardage situations, enough goal line situations. Maybe they just call up Peyton Barber to kind of be that guy to just do what he does best and fall forward 2 yards.
Oh yeah, Hall stole mine. I was gonna say Peyton Barber because we need a short yardage back, and AGG Antonio Gibson hasn't really shown that he can do it yet. So I think
Damn, man,
it'll
Reed,
be
you
him.
stole mine. Come on, man.
I can't believe Hall stole mine. Why are you stealing?
You're ridiculous, dude.
Stop
Absolutely
stealing.
ridiculous. I'll say, and Danny Johnson, based on what happens with Torrey McTyer and his concussion issues, especially for week 1, we don't know. Maybe that lingers. He has a setback, and then that way they have to make sure he gets put on the IR for maybe those 3 games until he's good to go, and they call up Danny Johnson to take his place because Danny did do really well as a returner and as a DB.
Yeah.
So I could see that definitely happening.
Yeah, I was about to say the return aspect could be huge
Yeah.
for it. That was my other one, but I didn't, you guys are answering all these great questions. I'm all here burnt out, looking like a meth head or something, and can't even answer.
So the next question from Meest is, which starter will lose his job first and win, and no Dustin Hopkins, Reed? So Hall, I'll start with you first.
What was the question? My bad. I
Rats.
just zoned out for like half a second.
Which starter will lose his job first and win?
You said no Dustin Hopkins?
Yep.
Damn, that was the easy one. Who will lose their job first? That's a hard one. I will go. I'll say I can't really say John Bostic though, but I guess I can say
Right.
John Bostic. I'll just say John Bostic for the simple fact of Ron's been preaching about team speed, team speed on both sides of the ball. And if you have Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb on the field taking most of the reps, maybe John Bostic loses his starting job. I mean, that's the best I can think of right now.
That's a good one, Raul. For me, I'm going to say Eric Flowers at left guard. He looked really good at times, but against the Bengals, there were some plays where he had some very iffy plays. And Wes Schweitzer has been playing with the twos, the second team, but I could see him being called up. We saw what he did last season at left guard, and I could see Eric Flowers maybe stumbling out of the gate and the coaching staff making the move and switching him with Wes Schweitzer. Oh, reliable. What about you, Reed?
Yeah, I was gonna go with left guard too, but I see stole that one from me as well. So here we go. All right, let's go with who's gonna be listed as starter here. Okay. Then you took John Bostic too. It's tough because like you can't be like Chase Young, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, Cole Holcomb, Jimmy Davis, Kendall Fuller, William Jackson, Landon Collins, Cam Curl, or like Antonio Gibson.
I
guess
Terry
maybe
might lose his job first.
yeah, Terry might. Hey, I'm just gonna go out on one. I'm gonna say Ryan Fitzpatrick will lose it first.
There you go, dude.
That's
Come
the
on,
smart
man.
one though. I
plays
don't. That's
all
the
the
smart
time.
one to be honest with
It
you.
could happen. You never know. Fitzpatrick's up and he's down. He's hot and he's cold. He's yes and he's no. He's a Katy Perry song. And then Taylor Heineke, as we know, if we don't play well, which I think that we will, so I'm not saying this is gonna happen, but this fan base can be. They're gonna be calling for his head and they're gonna be begging for Heineke
As
to come
soon
in.
as Fitz throws one interception against the Chargers,
Stop.
put in
Stop.
put him in, put him in.
Dude, oh my God, you guys kill me. Last question to us. What will it take for Rivera to make a change at quarterback?
An interception. No, it's going to take a lot of losing. Like if we are winning games, even though if our offense isn't putting up that big of numbers, I could see him sticking with Ryan Fitzpatrick. But really, as long as Ryan Fitzpatrick produces, it's his job. Even if we're losing games, as long as he's producing, he's gonna keep the job. If he's not producing or he's going out there and he's just way too inconsistent, which we've seen in the past, then he's gonna get replaced.
Yeah. If we see what we saw against Cincinnati, not gelling with the wide receivers and offense being stagnant, not putting up points, not being able to knock in touchdowns and convert on third downs, I could see that being the case. But it's funny because the way the schedule is lined up, it's like the back end is very easy. So essentially what you would be saying is that like once he gets to the hard stuff, that's when the decision would be made. But then the question is, when it was easy, couldn't he do better then? And so, look, man, what would it take for him to bench Ryan Fitzpatrick? I mean, he would literally have to John Beck this thing. I mean,
Yes.
I don't think there's any other way about it. He would have to show complete ineptitude in order to bring in Taylor Heineke, because if the throwing game is completely gone and you can't use your legs, that's probably when Ron Rivera would pull the plug and say, look, you can't get the ball out of your hands. At least let's get somebody who can run in here and get us some yards that way. But I like Reed said, dude, I find that very, very hard to believe that it's going to be Rivera pulling the plug. If there's anything going on here, it's going to be based on an injury or something like that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think he only gets pulled or replaced due to injury, but let's say there was happening let's say Ron Rivera was happen to pull the plug, and it would be Ryan Fitzpatrick playing bad for like it would be
right.
a 2 to 3 game stretch,
Right.
where it would be like those were winnable games, and then Fitzpatrick was the reason why we lost the game. I think that would kind of make Ron Rivera be like, all right, we've been doing enough on defense, and the offense has been doing enough, but this one position has kind of been holding us back. Let's make the switch, see if we can kind of get a spark plug to the offensive team.
Especially seeing how the
maybe
team.
recapture the wild card game last year in a bottle and jump started from there.
Yeah, I was just about to say, especially seeing how the team responded when Heineke came in both.
But I will
years
say,
last year.
like I said, I don't think it's going to happen unless it's due to injury.
Right.
Yeah, the only other way it would be is if they would have to completely melt down and they would have to be like fighting in the huddle, like yelling at one another.
Right, and
because
that's not gonna. Right.
And the one thing that Ryan Fitzpatrick does is he kind of gels everyone. That's one thing Ron Rivera said, how well he took control of the locker room. And so I feel like that's one way that Ron Rivera would pull the plug, saying, look, man, we can't make this. What is going on here? You guys are fighting on the field. This is not okay. Like Chase Claypool and Minka Fitzpatrick. By the way, that was hysterical.
Yeah. Right. Ryan Fitzpatrick keeps accusing Terry McLaurin of stealing his Lucky Charms or something, and like that might do it.
That might do it. Now our last question is from big guy from the UK, Scott Hartley. Oi!
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 He wants to know, Besides linebacker, who are your remaining cuts from the 53, and what free agents do you want to see brought in? Is there anybody out there that moves the needle for you besides linebacker? Maybe a pass rusher that you like, or a safety that's possibly out there, a backup lineman like Mitchell Schwartz, or what was his name? Dude, the guy that was drafted in front of right at behind Trent Williams. Russell Okung is out there as well.
Yeah.
So, Hall,
I'm trying to look to see who's even on the market.
Yeah, I mean, I would. Yeah, it's really hard to say. Yeah, go ahead, Kyle. You go first.
I don't know what's going on here. I'll probably say Ubedi, I think his name was, a pass rusher that's currently available on the waivers and out there. I would rather pick him up than a guy like Vic Beasley or something like that. Younger in a way, but because Vic Beasley has not really lived up to his reputation, I'd rather bring in a guy who fits us and does really well with it. And look, I love McKinney a lot. I know we're not supposed to talk about linebackers, but I'm just saying. I wouldn't mind to see Vic Beasley, a pass rush specialist, being brought into the building.
Yeah, that's actually a good one. I was actually just looking, and I was going to say Vic Beasley as well, just because we need that kind of. And Ron talked about maybe adding a veteran to that defensive end spot. Obviously, Vic Beasley's not like a veteran, like a entrenched, been in the league for years veteran, or produced like I'm a top veteran type of guy. But like you said, bring him in as a third down guy. He's athletic. He has some speed to him, so I think he would be a great third down pass rush specialist.
Yeah. I would agree with you. I would also, I mean, maybe there's a chance, like, even though, look, I don't think that this is going to happen, but if it does, I mean, if one of the offensive tackles struggles, I mean, maybe you could see Mitchell Schwartz or somebody brought in, somebody who's actually very good. He just, over the season, I mean, obviously he's got to heal up from his injury, but he's a very good player. He's one of the best right tackles in the NFL. But I don't think that happens because I think that Cosme is going to play very well, and I think Charles Leno Jr. is also going to play fantastic. So I don't know. It's going to be tough. But yeah, linebacker and edge are really the two positions to really look at.
Yeah, and I have some questions here left over that I had for Sam Fortier from the Washington Post, but I wanted to ask you guys. So, Reed, I'll go to this one to you first.
Okay.
Will Taylor Heineke start a game this season?
I'm just going to go with recent history and say yes, and then that's just combined with the way that Fitzpatrick has played just throughout his career and Washington's continuous carousel at quarterback. I'll say that he will. It's not necessarily going to be because Fitzpatrick plays bad. Maybe Fitzpatrick gets hurt. Who knows? Maybe this offense just needs a shot in the arm, so they put Heineke in there. But I think that he will start at least one or two games, yeah.
Okay, what about you, Hall?
Yeah, I'm kind of agree. I think due to injury, possibly if Ryan Fitzpatrick happens to get injured, like a minor tweak here and there, a minor little nick up, I do think that Taylor might start one game, maybe two, depending on what the injury is, but I don't think it'd be any more than 2 games.
Yeah, and look, you do have a point by saying that Ryan Fitzpatrick, you know, he kind of is that poor man's Brett Favre. He's off the handle. He'll go run outside if he needs to. He's not supposed to, but he will, and he could possibly get banged up. But I don't think Taylor will start. I do think he'll come in relief for possibly with an injury or something like that. But I do think that this being such a great team with the weapons around Ryan Fitzpatrick, having Logan Thomas and that safety blanket there, Antonio Gibson, Jared Patterson, and J.D. McKissick, I really, truly believe that this offense is set up for success for Ryan Fitzpatrick. We just need consistent quarterback play, smart quarterback play. I think Ryan will do that. So no, I don't expect Taylor to start a game this season.
Here's another way. Maybe Taylor starts a game, let's say at the very end of the season after we already have a playoff spot.
That's good. All right.
If we already have one.
I like the way you think.
You fought Smeller.
Right. I don't know what a fart smeller is, but I am.
My uncle says it all the time. I mean, you're a smart fella, dude.
Oh, I thought. No doubt.
Yeah.
For sure.
Now the last one, the other one I had is, are you comfortable with John Bates being the number 2 tight end?
I will go. Pete Hainer is the coach, right?
Yes.
I will say yes because of Pete Hainer. You saw what he did with Logan Thomas. You see what he's done with multiple tight ends throughout his career. Look at Greg Olsen, obviously. I'm not saying John Bates is Logan Thomas. I'm not saying he's Greg Olsen. I'm just saying, look what they did with Sammis Reyes, a guy who's never played football in his life. So I just think that the way that Pete Hainer develops the tight end position, I think that – and plus John Bates is a great blocker, which is what you want a number 2 tight end to be for the most part anyway.
Exactly, yep.
So I just think that with the development under Pete Hainer – I don't know why I can't say his name. Pete Hayner, I think that John Bates will be a serviceable number 2 tight end throughout the season.
Yeah, and I was listening to the Junkies on 106.7, and Matt Valdez, the former guest of ours from the other night, he's good friends with Logan Thomas, and he said Logan Thomas had a quote, and he was asked, who was the number 1 rookie that's really stood out to you? And he said John Bates by far, because he said the knowledge that John Bates is using and what he's doing, it's way farther than what a rookie should be. I think John Bates is probably one of the best kept secrets on this team. A really good run blocker, but not better than Sammis Reyes. But we also saw that in the first preseason game of him catching that ball from Taylor and that kind of usage. So I am very comfortable with John Bates at number 2. I think that he is going to be a pleasant surprise.
Right. Oh, cool, Valdez. Weird flex. Logan Thomas is your best friend. Well, Logan Paulson is my best friend, so step back. Am I comfortable with John Bates being the number 2? I mean, look, I'm not even comfortable being myself. I've been putting on a facade, acting for years, just so people like me. I don't like myself, to be honest with you. I hate myself. I'm a disgusting person. Am I comfortable with it? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that what he offers, his skill set, like you guys said, he's a very good blocker, and he's also, I mean, according to my best friend and future best man at my wedding, Logan Paulson, he's also a very good. He's very underrated in terms of pass catching and getting out and catching the ball. What I'm most surprised about though is Ron Rivera saying that Sammis Reyes is the best blocking tight end on this team. I get it, the dude is a freak of nature. But like, imagine being somebody like John Bates, like you've played football your whole life and that's your specialty. And Rivera says that, and you're just like, what? This guy doesn't even have technique. And look at him. Look at what he's doing. You know?
Imagine being a guy getting blocked by Sammis Reyes that's never played football ever in his life, and he's just like, oh yeah, that was the best block he's ever done in his life. Like, just getting destroyed by destroyed by guys never played football ever in his life.
Right, and then he does that pose, that stretch that he was doing. Remember that? With his butt out, and he just looks at you.
I knew exactly what you were talking about because you just made such a point to.
I know.
Right. Yeah. You knew exactly what it was. You
know. What was it you said? You said thick.
Yeah. He's a thick boy. Thick old boy. He is, man. He's got like some Beyonce back there or something, man. That guy's got some. He's looking Sam-alicious.
Last thing before we get out of here, is that Cam Newton is still out there. I mean, it's been a big point of emphasis. Everyone's been talking about it. Reed, do you think that they should bring Cam Newton in as a backup at all?
No.
I agree with you. I don't think now is the time. It's way too close to the season. Ryan Fitzpatrick has a grip over this locker room, and bringing in another alpha male like Cam Newton is like bringing a grenade into the room. They're already gelling. They have the cohesion already. There's no reason to bring somebody else in to ruin that kind of environment. So I like what's going on in there now. I love Cam. I would have loved Cam to come here in the offseason. Obviously didn't have the chance to. The Patriots picked him up before he could hit free agency. But I do wish him the best. I thought the Dallas would have been his best bet. But maybe he winds up in Vegas or somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, I joke all the time, like, come on, man. He's an NFL quarterback. He threw 8 touchdowns last year. Like,
right.
But in all seriousness,
he should go to New Orleans, by the way.
Yeah, no. In all seriousness, though, like, do I want him to come to Washington? No, because like you just said, he's such a big presence and such a big like superstar that, I mean, first of all, you think that the bird calls and the bird chirps are going to be for Taylor Heineke?
Oh, right. Man.
Just imagine if Cam Newton was the backup, or even in this locker room as the second string, third string quarterback, whatever you want to call it, just in the locker room as a general. Do you don't think one mistake, the first mistake that Ryan Fitzpatrick makes, you don't think they're going to be calling for Cam Newton?
Right.
Or even Taylor Heineke? So
you can't do that to Ryan Fitzpatrick because, look, it's Ron Rivera and Cam Newton. If they have history. If you were to bring Cam Newton into the room, anytime Ryan Fitzpatrick makes a mistake, he knows their relationship. Exactly. He knows Ron Rivera wants him. And you don't want to put Ryan Fitzpatrick in that situation.
Yeah, you don't want him looking over his shoulder consistently.
Yeah. And that's going to make Ryan Fitzpatrick press the issue on the field, which will cause turnovers, which – end result would oddly turn into Cam Newton.
Yes,
in the game. But yeah.
But glass half full. Could you imagine how cool it would be to watch Ryan Fitzpatrick wearing some of Cam Newton's clothes like he did with Deshaun Jackson?
That would
dude,
be
I was on with Corey last night and he called Cam Newton Medea, and dude, I died.
That's really good.
I had to ask. I was like, dude, you really just call him Medea? He was like, yeah, man, with all the outfits.
It's true. Hilarious. He does. Yeah, I'm telling you.
That
He-
is hilarious.
like I said, he's Russell Westbrook of the NFL.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
similar, just in like they're freaks. They were
Medea.
both really good at one point. They're not too good anymore, but they also have this style that only those two have. Like it's just, I don't know.
He had me cracking up last
That's
night. dude.
funny.
He
Yeah,
called-
Corey's hilarious.
And he
Yeah.
he just like slipped it in there like it was normal. He just called Cameo Medea, and I was like, wait, I had to like bring it back. Like, wait a minute, did you just say that?
I
That's
would pay money
hysterical.
to see Corey dressed up as Medea and start like making fun
Caught
of
a po
people.
ho, caught a po po.
I bet Corey would be hilarious doing that.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it's not Corey's funny.
That's a
funny as hell.
Halloween idea right there for you, Corey.
There you go,
Hey,
Corey.
there it is.
Just give me all the profit.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. I want to say goodbye to Zaire. Thank you so much for allowing us to spotlight you tonight, sir. I wish you the best, my brother. I hope we keep getting updated by the hog farmers on what's going on with you. I hope you continue kicking some butt.
Yeah, you as well, Landon. Keep kicking butt. Keep doing your thing. I'm gonna stay. Keep the prayers up for you. And I'm Hall. See y'all Tuesday. Forgot today was Thursday.
You should have just said, "I'm Hall. See y'all." That would have been tight.
Oh, that's a good
And
one.
it just disappear off the
Awesome.
screen like
Yes, and yeah, and then that's it, and a puff of smoke. Also, shout out Bentley, Beamer, Benz, or Bentley. I'm choosing Bentley every time. The guy gets it.
that was a good one.
And you're gonna keep
guy
killing it, man.
gets it.
You're doing amazing. And seriously, I like having a son. Like you are the bravest kid in the world. You guys are, all three of you guys are all. I couldn't imagine. So
And
Oh shit.
we are bringing awareness to Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, and we're going to be doing this all month long, every episode, 3 little warriors we're going to highlight. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in this episode. Thank you to Sam Fortier, even though Mike Reed just for some reason just likes to disrespect you. I don't get it, Sam. I don't get it.
Hey Sam, meet me in the octagon. We'll fight. Why don't you say we go on the next Jake Paul fight card? People will be like, who are these two? What are they doing here? But no, I'm kidding. I'm sorry, Sam. I got home from work. I'm sorry that you had to be on early. I had to
Yeah,
go on.
and thank you to everyone for the fan questions. Scott Hartley, Apke G, Orange Crush 92, the Colonel, of course. Appreciate you, sir, so much.
Yes.
Tony Shivers and Brandon Reinbold, a.k.a. Meast. All right, everybody, we will
Yes.
see you guys on Tuesday. We have a banger of a show lined up for you. We have 2 guests coming on, and we're going to look into the Week 1 matchup against the Chargers in its entirety. All right, everybody, we'll see you on Tuesday. Washington football. Woo! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching, and if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched the BurgundyZone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!